Roshidere is without a doubt the biggest anime of this season. It's a fairly generic rom-com between two high school students who slowly but surely grow closer to each other. However, it's also surprisingly controversial. For the past week, people have been arguing about how disgusting and weird it is. Articles are popping up about how the anime is ruined, all because of one single character. If your question is, how the f did that happen, and if it is actually weird, well, we first have to understand what this anime is and get some context behind these really controversial clips. This is Kuze, a typical high school student who, like most of us, would rather spend his time sleeping. And this is Alya, a cold and rigid honor student all the way from Russia. The two of them aren't necessarily close, but in classic anime fashion, they sit next to each other, which forces them to interact. Now we can follow their daily lives as they argue about every little small thing. The unique twist that makes this anime stand out is that Alya is half Russian and Kuze understands Russian without her knowing. This leads to many situations where Alya mumbles something and Kuze fully understands her. It's basically like Love is War, but Kuze wins every single time. This might sound really generic, and it is. We get rom-coms like this every season, but for some reason, this one is much more popular. The obvious reason is that it has something that most other rom-coms fail to execute, which is ironically what makes this anime controversial. People love the way the characters are written. I wouldn't say they are incredibly unique, but they are certainly not your typical, stereotypical rom-com characters either. The anime does an amazing job of making them interesting from the start and showing significant growth fairly quickly. Take Kuze for example. For once, we have a main character who isn't incredibly dense and actually tries to progress the relationship forward. Well, sort of. He's genuinely kind, which might make him seem a bit boring, but I appreciate that he's not doing it for personal gain. He simply wants to help others without being a pushover. I also really like that he reacts like a real person. There is one scene where he starts to realize his feelings for Alya, and his mind just goes off on the most random tangents, noticing small, well, maybe big things in this case that he finds cute or attractive about her. You can't deny that sometimes our minds as guys just keep thinking about things like that without much control. I like that the anime also focuses on the fact that he finds her attractive, which while it might sound normal, is often overlooked in many rom-coms. Here it shows a good mix of both personality and physical attraction. We also have Alya, the main heroine of the story. Initially, she seems like the polar opposite of Kuze, a cold, serious character who doesn't feel very approachable. However, as we get to know her more, we quickly realize she's a tsundere with a much softer side and that she has a lot more in common with Kuze than we initially thought. Although she's a textbook tsundere, I really appreciate how she repeatedly shows that she cares about Kuze. She isn't afraid to approach him, talk to him, or check if something is wrong. I also just find these scenes adorable whenever she's completely shocked and just has these eyes. I don't even know what to call it, but it's so cute. And then there's Yuki. She's a total weirdo and Twitter has had enough of her. Honestly, I can't really blame them. If someone acted this way in real life with their brother, talking about how her C-cups can satisfy him, I would be genuinely concerned. But since this is an anime, she easily becomes waifu material. Honestly, she's what makes this show stand out. Alya and Kuze are great, don't get me wrong, but the chaos Yuki introduces to the anime is what makes it fun. Yeah, saying things like that, or that, or that is weird. But she's basically a trolling gremlin who wants to mess with everyone and annoy them as much as possible. She doesn't really mean anything she says, she's just a goddess of chaos who wants to see the world burn. I also think it's important to understand the context behind it. Yuki acts this way because as a kid, she was unable to have an active childhood due to an illness, which led to her crazy antics. Since they were separated, she craves Kuze's attention while also looking out for him. While it might make some people uncomfortable, at the end of the day, it's just fiction. There are a lot of other more messed up things in other media that people don't care about because they understand it's just a show, but for some reason they treat anime differently. Now then we finally have the rest of the student council. There's Masha, Alya's sister, who seems like she will have a much bigger role in the story, especially since she is Kuze's childhood friend. However, we had less than half an episode with her so far. Then there is the student council president, who has already completed his own story arc by becoming the president and getting a girlfriend. The anime features many characters, and the writer has done a great job giving each one a spotlight. But why do these characters work so well, despite the fact that just having a lot of them isn't usually enough to make people care? When it comes to romance anime, I think it is really hard to create something unique. Usually the distinguishing factor is the setting, but in Roshidere, the setting is fairly typical. What it does exceptionally well, keeping people engaged, is making the characters feel genuinely compatible. Many romance anime feature a very attractive girl and an average Joe falling in love out of nowhere, with no clear reason for why they care about each other. Roshidere stands out by showing every step of why Kuze and Alya are drawn to each other. I love listening to their interactions. There's warmth and genuineness to them that's hard to explain. Their relationship doesn't develop suddenly, it builds up gradually over each episode. It's realistic in that it doesn't rush, yet it also doesn't drag on. While one of the biggest letdowns in an anime can be ending the story without the characters getting together, I don't mind it here. I enjoy anime like Horimiya or Bunny Girl Senpai where the characters get together quickly, but in this case, it wouldn't make sense. It feels like neither of them is truly ready or fully understands their feelings yet. Watching them admire each other is simple but enjoyable, and that's why it works so well. Even though they aren't completely open about their feelings yet, I appreciate that both characters put effort into making their relationship work, and it is not one-sided. What adds to the entertainment value of Roshidere is the side characters. First we have Yuki, who plays mind games with Alya, leaving her unaware that Yuki is just messing with her and that Alya and Kuze are actually related. Whenever Yuki appears, it's pure chaos. I love the scene from the most recent episode where she tells Alya that she loves Kuze, only to force Alya to admit that she also has feelings for him. It's downright devious, yet I appreciate that Yuki pushes Alya to take action instead of passively waiting for someone else to claim Kuze. Then there's Alya's sister, Masha, who also pushes her in the same way, and I can see her actually doing something if Alya doesn't hurry up. This dynamic creates a love square that primarily exists in Alya's head. However, if there is one thing Roshidere doesn't do as well as I expected, it's delivering standout moments. The anime has many scenes meant to be impactful, but they often fall flat. For example, there's a scene where we learn when Alya started to develop feeling for Kuze. The scene is well done, but it ends abruptly, lacking the memorable punch that shows like Dangers in My Heart or Horimiya achieve with their dramatic music and animation. However, outside of that, the production is incredibly consistent. Togakubo is an anime studio that stood out to me because every adaptation that they've done has had a unique style. Over the past few years, they have grown to become a much more well-known name. This season, for example, the two most watched anime are made by them, and both look incredibly good. In addition to the animation, the voice acting is also impressive. The voice actor for Yuki delivers a perfect performance, bringing out the character's gremlin energy. However, the voice acting in the Russian-speaking scenes isn't as strong. It's similar to English scenes where the pronunciation can be awkward, though the sentences and grammar are correct. The only redeeming feature is the cursive on the chalkboard. Overall, I'd give Roshidere an 8.5 out of 10. It's a fun watch. The characters are the make and break of the anime. If you don't like one of them, you probably won't like the anime either. The conversations between all of them are super fun, and even if this is just a generic rom-com, it has its elements that make it enjoyable and fun. If you want to see what other anime we have this season, click on this video. If you like this one, like and subscribe. Goodbye.